Flanked by top UN officials, Secretary-General Antonio Guterres this week sounded the alarm over the looming threat of starvation for millions of people in 4 key conflict zones.
These 4 crises are very different, but they have one thing in common. They are all preventable. They all stem from conflict, which we must do much more to prevent and resolve. But even now, we can prevent the worst effects if we act urgently and strongly.
Famine is already plaguing parts of South Sudan where more than 40% of the population is said to be in desperate need. Drought conditions in Somalia is threatening a population battered by years of conflict. Northeast Nigeria is caught in a humanitarian crisis due to Boko Haram violence, and millions are at risk in war-ravaged Yemen. The UN Children's Fund has warned that 1.4 million children could die from severe acute malnutrition this year if nothing is done.
I don't want to need the images of children dying in big numbers, alerting the public conscience of states to allow for them to finally come with their support. This is the moment in which this support can not solve, naturally, many of the problems that exist, and they are already very dramatic, but prevent the worst.
The UN says it requires $4.4 billion by the end of March to avert a catastrophe. The question now is whether the international community still has the appetite and capacity to respond above and beyond previous humanitarian appeals that have fallen far short. As it stands, the UN's World Food Programme already has had to cut back on food rations due to funding shortages. Guterres said the issue has less to do with donor fatigue than with how humanitarian needs are outpacing resources, and he is appealing to the conscience of the international community to increase efforts. Liling Tan, CGTN, United Nations in New York.